Welcome to episode 4 of Rise and Resilience. Today's guest is Mike Totino with Safety First Home Inspections. He has over 10 plus years of experience in construction, and he has over 130 five-star reviews. Mike, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Of course. So for people that may not know you, give them a little introduction.
So I'm from Long Beach. Prior to getting into home inspections, I started out as a union carpenter. Actually, my first day was my 19th birthday.
Wow.
I was in there for 6 years. I graduated the apprenticeship, and then I became what's called the journeyman for the last 2 years. Then after that, I actually had my real estate license for about a year and a half. I sold a few houses too. A lot of people don't know that, but I did that. Then I got into contracting. I did that for a few years with my childhood friend, who's also a tradesman as well. And then as of the last 2 years, I've had my home inspection license. And I always say my experience, particularly in entrepreneurship, I didn't find my first thing and that was it. It's almost like dating. You kind of have to, test the waters and see what works, see what doesn't work. And that's what landed me up to this point now.
So you were 19. You got your real estate license?
No, my 19th birthday, I was in the Carpenters Union.
Okay.
That was my first day.
And then when did you have your real estate license?
Probably 25, about
2005?
No, when I was 24.
Oh, when you were 25.
Give or take, yeah.
Okay, so while you were in the union, you decided to get your license?
Yes, yep.
And how was that?
It was a transition because what ended up happening, for those who may not know, when you're in the union, layoffs are common, the jobs end and things like that. And the last time it happened, it was around, I remember specifically, it was around Thanksgiving. Holidays, construction typically slows down, and they were cutting back on the crew. I made the last cut too, which made me feel good. But it's not like I was the first one to go, but I made the last cut. And about a month or two later, they called me back. But by then, I was like, I'm not looking back.
So you joined the union for pretty much what everyone, that security, right?
Absolutely.
You wanted that paycheck. You wanted that pension.
Yep.
You wanted those benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And at what point were you did you wake up one day and realize that wasn't for you, or?
No, so this actually happened day by day, because what ended up happening, and I can't stress enough how important it is to have the right people around you. But at the time, I wasn't reading books. I wasn't even, I was the kind of person, once I got off work, that was my time to just relax. And but a friend of mine recommended that I read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that was the first entrepreneur book I ever read. And I started utilizing my commute to and from Manhattan on the Long Island Railroad, reading every day. So the more I started reading, the more I started just accumulating knowledge just day by day. And up to that point, when I got laid off, I had so much knowledge in my mind from just reading countless books, like Think and Grow Rich was another one too. Just my mind frame was ready for the next step. But if I wasn't reading to and from work, then I probably wouldn't be sitting here on a podcast show, on your podcast show. So it's
wow, the importance of reading.
Absolutely.
And just fueling your brain
every day.
Yeah,
you have to.
So what made you become a home inspector rather than you did have your real estate license, so you realized that wasn't the route that you wanted to go?
Correct.
And why home inspecting rather than anything else in the real estate world?
It's funny because a buddy of mine had brought it up, and he was only doing it part-time, so it wasn't like he was a full-time inspector or anything. It was kind of his side gig. And I thought about it, and at the time when I was a contractor, I just felt like there was a lot of hurdles that I was going through on a daily basis with my partner, not between me and him, but more of the people in our crew. Because when you're running a construction company, there's just so many factors that it just every day has to be perfect. If not, for example, if somebody doesn't show up, now that throws off the next, it just turns into a domino effect. So I was kind of tired of it, of just constantly, babysitting people and making sure that they're showing up on time. Because I'm a very responsible and reliable person. So I felt like I need to do something where I'm held accountable, not somebody else
right.
per se. So my buddy had brought it up, and he told me where he got his license from, and one thing led to another. And once I enrolled in the course, just something just like lit a fire. Like I'm going full swing with this. Like that's it. And it just took off. To be honest.
So you have to take a course to be an inspector?
Absolutely, yeah. So there's actually 5 what's called modules. So there's like electric, there's plumbing. I don't remember every single one.
Yeah.
It's electric, plumbing. There's a module on writing reports. There's another module on insurance and things like that. And the 5th module, you're actually in the field shadowing another home inspector. It's 40 hours, but I personally felt like 40 hours wasn't enough. So I actually reached out to another licensed home inspector, Jason Escobar. If you're seeing this, thank you so much. But he actually took the time and allowed me to shadow him on like multiple inspections. So he kind of gave me the blueprint on how to, just write reports and things like that. So he helped me out a lot.
Okay. And since you had that construction background, did you like kind of see like, was it something that you were comfortable with? Like, did 100%. You have like an easy experience with the modules?
Definitely, yeah. Because it's funny because when I was going on estimates as a contractor while getting my inspection license, it started opening up a whole nother world of the safety hazards and things like that I wasn't as mindful of when I was a contractor, but the background definitely helped. And I feel like I use that, I don't want to say to my advantage, but I use that to better comfort my future clients. Like, listen, I have over 10 years experience with, renovating houses and things like that. So.
Right. So you took the course in 2019. And you could have just like joined a company, but instead you started your own company.
That's the only way I would do it.
And like, how was that like starting it? Were you?
It wasn't a challenge for me because I knew I have enough hunger to change. Like, I don't mind rebuttal, starting from the bottom. If you have enough drive in any field, any line of work, if you're passionate about it, then you'll make it happen. If not, you're just going to have excuses on why it's this person's fault, that person's fault. But
right.
I didn't see anything like, oh, how am I going to do this? You just, whatever it takes.
Right. Did you get like people around you like questioning, like, why are you leaving the union job? Like, that security, that's a great job. Like, did you have those people in your life doing that?
I actually have a good friend of mine who's a union carpenter. So I hope he sees this too. His name is Jonathan. So my good buddy Jonathan, he's still a union carpenter, and even when we were working together like years ago, I was telling him like I'm about to make a transition to entrepreneurship, and he always supported me no matter what.
That's good.
So he watches my show. Like he's really, he tells me like, Mike, you're the only person that I see doing what you said you were going to do. So he's definitely in my corner.
That's
so,
huge.
Yeah.
I feel like once you get into a union job, it's so hard to leave it. As
Absolutely.
much as like people hate it, it's just they're afraid, and it shows who you are for you to make that jump. It's one thing to say, yeah, I'm going to do it, do it, and then never do it.
Yeah.
But you actually did it.
You have to do it. Yeah. Because even with the challenges I'm setting up for myself now, I kind of think of it like there's going to be a day where we're going to be old and reflect on our life one day. And I don't want to look back like I could have, should have, would have, but I just didn't pull the trigger on whatever it is, job opportunity, dating opportunity, moving whatever it is, you just have to take action.
Yeah, you never want to regret.
Never.
You could always like look back and say, oh, I did that, but you can never say, oh, I wish.
Exactly.
And that's like huge. So I want to talk a little bit about work-life balance, because recently you hopped on a plane.
I did.
It's funny. Every morning your story, you're in the gym, you're reading, right?
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah. And
you inspire me.
Thank you.
And then one day you're in the airport and I'm like, where is he going? Like, no, you go to work, you go to the gym. So what made you do that?
That's a good question. So I just recently finished my first full video in Spanish. I did a collaboration video with another realtor, and that was the first step to really putting myself out there, learning and teaching myself the second language. But then I figured, all right, if I can overcome that hurdle of putting myself out there on camera in a second language, let's see how fluent I am by going to another country by myself. And it hit me too when I was in the taxi cab from the airport going to my place, And I stayed at an Airbnb. I didn't stay at a resort to make it feel like, I wanted to stay around locals, so I had to like speak the language, obviously. But it hit me in the cab when I was heading there, and I was like, I'm really not meeting up with anybody out here at all. And I'm just like, this is a real like
scary.
Yeah, I would say scary, but just an eye opening.
Right.
Like I'm out of my comfort zone completely right now. But
yeah, and how was it getting around? Like speaking the language.
It was easier than I thought, but there was one moment where I had to transfer like these dollar vans from one spot to another, and I was in the middle of town, like a shopping center, and I didn't really know where I was going, and I just had to navigate and ask around, and then I got in the second van, and I wasn't too sure where my stop was. Of course, it's my first time, but luckily, someone guided me, but I knew enough Spanish to just get around, like so.
What part of Mexico?
I was in Tulum.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for people listening who work a crazy amount of hours, who are, high energy like you all the time, what would you tell them? Like, because people are afraid to, like, go on a trip or to take a day off. Like, how important is that?
I feel like you have to rest. That's as important as working, being productive, because if you're burning out, one, you're not going to deliver as good as services, and your reputation, I feel like, is not going to be up to the standard that you're portraying it to be if you're working countless hours.
Right.
But I'm still working on that because, as you know, my day starts at 4 a.m. and it typically ends around like 9 o'clock at night.
It's crazy.
But I feel like if you're setting up a lot of goals, that's the work ethic you have to have.
So you in bed every night, 9 o'clock?
I don't say like 9:30. Yeah, like 9:30. By 10,
you're
lights
out. Yeah.
Definitely, I have to.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And in terms of like diet and stuff, because you're in great shape, like, do you prep or like what do you?
So I saw you had. I actually use Redefine.
Redefine, yeah.
I use them. Yeah.
Did you?
Because I don't have time to cook. I don't like cooking. I actually am not good at it. So I hired the meal prep company, and they drop it off every week.
And what do you think of them?
I've been using them for a couple months now, so it's very convenient.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So there's just no excuses,
Right.
And then I also have a portable microwave too. So if I'm on the road, which I am most of the time, I plug it in and it actually heats my food up.
Wait.
While driving, so
stop.
I could pull over and eat hot food.
A portable microwave. Yep. They have those?
Yep.
That's so crazy because I have been buying their meals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I want to eat this right now, but it's cold. And then I'm like, should I ask? Because I'm always in different houses. Yeah. My fiance's like, just ask someone to use their microwave. And I'm like, I feel weird.
Yeah.
Oh my God, now I need to buy one. Like, how big is it?
It's perfect size for
the meals?
The meal prep. Yeah.
And you plug it into the car?
You plug it in. That's
what?
It. Yeah.
I need to get that.
It takes like half an hour though. Like it's not like an instant, like,
so it takes time.
1 minute, but if I'm not in the truck using it, then I'll actually bring it inside my home inspection because I'm going to be there for 2 hours. So then I plug it in. By the time I'm done, I take it out. Hot food ready to go.
Brilliant.
Got to utilize each time,
Yeah. And in terms of being in the gym, you've recently done like 2-a-days, I see?
One at 5 a.m., another one at like 8, 9 o'clock at night.
And you do like cardio and then like lifting? Like
I typically lift in the morning, and then at night I do this this ab circuit. It's by Frank Zane. So Frank Zane, for those who may not know, he was a bodybuilder in the 70s. He trained with Arnold Schwarzenegger, like the guys at the top of the top. He won Mr. Olympia a couple times, but he has a book called 91 Day Abs. And right now, tomorrow is going to be day 80. And it's like 700 reps a day. It's 3 circuits, a total of 700 reps. Wow. It's pretty...
it's brutal.
It's very brutal, yeah.
And are you seeing the results?
Definitely.
So you think like you can get, like anybody listening, if they put in the work, they can get abs in 90 days?
You could do anything, not just fitness, you could do anything.
Okay. I like that.
It all starts with your mind frame. You just have to do whatever it takes. And once you have that mind frame, you'll see any excuses start to just kind of
go away.
Wash away.
Yeah. So have you always had this mindset, or did this come like through going things in through things.
I've always had this drive. I don't want to say mindset, because mindset, I feel like takes time to accumulate with age and everything, maturity. But as far as drive goes, definitely, because since I was 13, 14, I didn't have money. I didn't grow up with parents that had money, things like that. So it started at 13 when every time it snowed outside, I view that as an opportunity. I'm knocking on doors, shoveling snow, making money every time. So I've always had this like whatever it takes mentality. So
that's great. So to go back so you're right now learning a second language, Spanish. How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing it for a year.
A year, okay.
Yeah. And I'm definitely going to another country again now, because now the first time you step outside your comfort zone, now your comfort zone starts to expand. So now you have to kind of up the bar a little bit. So I'm going to start going to more Spanish-speaking countries and making my way around.
Yeah. How are you learning?
Rosetta Stone.
Really? Would you recommend it?
Definitely. But you still have to, the thing with Rosetta Stone, it's good, but you should definitely speak it with, whatever language you're looking to learn. If you know someone who's fluent, pick their brain. And I can't stress that enough about picking people's brains, about, someone you're aspiring to be like or learn from. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are just either a text or a DM or a phone call away to, help you out.
It's funny that you said that. We haven't even ever met, and I don't know if you remember, but this was like January, February. You had just released your podcast.
Yes.
And I didn't film any of mine, but I knew I was starting it. And I literally DM'd you, and I said, do you have any advice?
We were on the phone for a while.
And you literally said, I'll call you tomorrow at this time.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you didn't even know me, and you were willing to give me that time, like, I appreciate that, and I'll never forget that.
And I feel like if I'm doing that for you or somebody else, then they could pay it forward to the next person. So,
it's true.
Because where I'm at right now, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the support of multiple people. So I can never take the credit for, for everything.
Yeah. So what's your favorite part about being a home inspector?
There's multiple. One, I'm somewhere different every time. There's different people, different households. I like traveling around Long Island, especially now since the weather's getting nicer out. I typically write my reports by lakes now and parks, so
cool.
It's almost like it doesn't feel like work, I get to meet new people, I get to network, I like to post content, which I feel like I like to do a lot. I like to add value, obviously. There's just multiple things that I feel like fits my personality, and for those out there that are starting entrepreneurship, you have to find something that just fits who you are as a person, because if the line of work is not part of who you are, I feel like it's not the right relationship. Right.
If you don't love what you're doing, if you don't wake up every day loving what you do, you're not going to be passionate about it, and people are going to read that. They're going to feel that energy.
Or like if you're not a people's person, let's say, and there's people out there that don't like networking. They're more of an introvert, which is fine. But there's only one of two things. You could either find something else, or I don't want to say change who you are, but be open to trying something else, as far as maybe opening up more, being a people's person.
So it's funny because I feel like in the real estate world we are similar, because for me I'm the photographer. I sell it as well, but I'm that person who's driving from Queens all the way out east. I put no joke, in a year and a half, I probably put like 60, 70,000 miles on my car. I swear to God. It's insane. So, and I feel that every day is different. I see different people. I meet different homeowners. I see different homes. And that's what's exciting.
Always exciting,
It's like you never know what you're going to see.
Exactly.
And as some houses I see are drop dead gorgeous, but I see the other extremes too. So there's so many different things.
And that's a good point too, because there's houses that I've inspected where I'll walk inside, it's a beautiful house, and not only that, but the homeowner and their family, they're just happy people, and I'll even tell them that, like, after I'm done, like, it was a pleasure meeting you guys, and it makes my job just that much better when I meet happy people, because I don't want to be just a home inspector. Like, I'm a people's person, so if I'm seeing that this is a good environment, and I let people know that, and they're very grateful for that. But then there's other houses where you just tell, like, there's conflict in the house, and I'm just like,
You feel it the minute you walk in.
yeah, and I'm just like, this is not a healthy household.
It's true. You just know.
Yeah,
It's true.
definitely.
So you give your reports the same day, right?
I typically say 24 hours.
Okay.
But that's if I have 2 back-to-back inspections, because the last thing I want to do is just rush a report out just for the sake of saying it's out, because that's the last thing I'd ever do. But typically, yeah, probably the same day.
So in this type of market, when someone gets an accepted offer, the next step is that home inspection. So I'm sure that you get those like frantic calls, like, I need you now, or I need
9
you
o'clock
yesterday.
at night, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Mike, are you free tomorrow morning? And it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, there's a few people that I'll answer my phone for at that time.
Right.
But yeah, it's a crazy market right now.
It's nonstop.
Nonstop, yeah. So I'm actually going to start hiring soon, because I need to duplicate myself.
Absolutely. That's the only way to really scale the business. We can't clone ourselves yet.
Yeah. And I feel like my business is like my baby. So it's just like, sometimes you just have to kind of take a step back and train someone. But I'm going to have no choice sooner or later.
Mm-hmm. So you see, like, obviously how hard it is for agents, especially buyer's agents in this market. What would you say, obviously, people you've seen more often who are just nonstop getting accepted offers for their clients, what makes them different? Like, how do they stand out and do that in your eyes?
That's a great point. I actually had one of my top realtors on my podcast, and she spoke about it. So what she does is that she actually, with her offer, she actually presents what time she can do the inspection. So she has her whole team lined up. Not just here's our offer in terms, it's like, here's our offer, we can get a home inspector in there tomorrow 9 a.m. The lender's ready, so it's almost like we're ready to go.
Right.
On top of obviously placing a strong offer. So
right.
But I would definitely just incorporate like what time you can move forward after you place the offer.
Right. It's like having that team behind you.
You have to.
Here's my lender. Yep. Here's my home inspector.
Here's their number. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're legit.
We're ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that. So I want to go back to what you said before about like creating content.
Mm-hmm.
In my eyes, you're one of the only inspectors who has a social media presence. Like,
I've heard that multiple times. I've heard that many times, that there's no one else doing what I'm doing right now.
It's true.
But I'm just being myself. Like, I'm not doing anything special. I feel like this is just me.
Right.
It's just, apparently I'm attracting the right people, I guess.
Right. Well, you're putting the good vibes and the good energy out into the universe, and it's going to come right back.
It has already.
I'm a huge believer in that.
Yes.
Definitely.
Me too.
So you obviously like being in front of the camera. Like, you don't mind it. Was that something that was always?
It's just part of my personality, and I say that because I'm gonna bring his name up every chance that I get. But I had a very good friend of mine. His name is Zach Stone, and he's no longer here. But his personality was so powerful, and he was so outgoing that energy kind of stuck with me. And in his name, I always put myself out there and shout him out and things like that. So if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be as outgoing, I guess. But
and that's amazing. So not only do you create content, but like, you have this amazing network with agents, right? Like,
yes.
How did that start? Like,
networking like a madman, and following up with people. So
talk about that.
Let me tell you. So I actually got the follow-ups from being a contractor, because I would go on estimates, and it's not every day people want to spend thousands of dollars to rip their kitchen out and redo their bathroom. Sometimes they call contractors to get prices, and they're kind of shopping around.
Sorry.
And it's up to us, the salespeople, the business people, to follow up and lock in the project or lock in that appointment with the client. And I'll never forget, I looked at a job once, and the guy seemed like he was serious, and he just kind of ghosted me. And I'd follow up with him like, hey, did you get my estimate? And then a day would pass, and then he was kind of flaking back and forth, and it just got to a point I was like, listen, I'm gonna follow up with you until one of us dies. And I got a response back, and ever since then I was like, you know what? You got to start thinking outside the box. Be different. No client ever expects that text message, like, you're gonna follow up with me until one, like, okay, this person's serious, like,
Right.
and they're funny too. So I feel like being comical yet professional goes a long way. So I just started doing that with my inspection. So I always ask people, once you get the report, if you could leave me a review on Google, it's greatly appreciated. If not, I'll have no other choice but to follow up with you every single day, which I don't want to do, but I'll have no choice. So I've been saying that recently, and I've been getting reviews faster. So
So it's working.
it is working, but if I have to follow up with you 100 times, I will.
Would you say majority of the people, like, they respond, like, okay to that? Or do you get people who are like...
One guy, so there's like very few, but there's two instances. One, there was a guy who I did a home inspection for. Now I didn't know this at the time, but he runs his own company, extremely busy guy. The guy has like 300 people under him. So he's a very busy guy. So I was following up with him for that review, and I must have sent a minimum, I'm not even exaggerating, probably like 9 text messages, like within the course of like 2 months, I'd say, like, hey,
Wow.
just following up. And I was getting creative, like every other text. I was like, how else can I ask this guy for a review? And then I used the until one of us dies, got nothing back. And then I just texted him something like, I hope you admire my persistence, but I'm just not giving up on this one. And he finally got back to me like 2 months later. He's like, if everyone on my sales team had your persistence, he was like, and then he's like, send me the link and I'll leave you the review. I was like, perfect. So then another time, same thing. Someone ghosted me for months until I called him up, which is very aggressive.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not leaving a review.
No.
I was like, all right, no problem. I was like, thank you anyway. But
Yeah.
So
What's the, like, the beauty of, like, people leaving you reviews? Like, how important is that?
it's very important now because people are calling me saying, I found you online. So I feel like that gives me more of a, you don't have to take my word, look me up online.
Right.
You know, not only that, but when people are prospecting, I'll also say, you know, I have over 10 years experience. If you look me up on Google, I have over 130 5-star reviews.
Right.
So I kind of use that as part of my package, that I am who I say I am, you know.
So what advice would you give someone, you know, no matter what field they're in, to, like, really take that jump to take their social media presence to the next level?
You got to post every day.
Every day.
Every single day. And don't make it just work, you know. Incorporate your personal life.
Right.
I personally will add stories of my personal life because my news feed is open to people who may not be following me. So if they go on my page, they know that I'm a home inspector. But if you're already following me, you'll see my daily schedule, you know, for more of my personal life, just so I can connect with people on a human level more as well. Because I like using the platform to make human connections, not business connections. The business it comes with it, but I want to genuinely, you know, impact people.
Yeah, and I think you do that. Like, you host workshops once a month, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So I started this workshop a couple months ago, and it's funny. Some of these ideas that I come up with, whether it's content or my workshop, it just comes out of nowhere, like in my head. I'm just like driving or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, I should start hosting workshops. So I figured with all the experience I have in construction, home inspections, things like that, and real estate, and sales, being a contractor, all those things, I want to give back to the real estate agents that hire me, that trust my services and things like that. So once a month, I bring you guys to a vacant house, preferably a distressed house, and we go from top to bottom, inside and out, and I point everything out from a home inspector's point of view, just so when you guys are showing houses, you guys know what to look out for, and it actually helps you guys. Because when I would go on estimates as a contractor, that's very similar to a listing presentation.
Right.
You're walking through the house with your prospect client. They're telling you their plans and goals. And I used to lock in projects, and I was still at the highest price because they trusted me. I never pushed for yes. I always pushed for, oh, wow, I never knew that. So once I started pointing things out that my prospect client just would have never known of, they already know that I'm adding value to them. So they trust me, and they don't even... at that point, price for them is not a factor
Right.
because they know that this guy knows his stuff.
Right.
And I always push high service, high quality. I don't push low prices, and because I know my value. So
That's important. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know their value.
yeah, and I don't, I would turn down a home inspection if people are trying to haggle me down on price because, like I said, I've put in so many hours towards my business, towards educating myself. Why should I compromise?
Do you get that a lot? Like people are like,
Oh,
"Yeah,
yeah.
can you do me a favor?
Yeah,
Discount?"
they make it seem like they're doing me the favor.
Right.
And it's obviously not the principle. I mean, it's not the money, it's the principle.
Right.
It's just I just don't believe in dropping my price.
No, you shouldn't.
And again, it's because I put the work in to justify my services. It's
Right.
not like I'm a, mediocre inspector. Like I go through everything top to bottom. I'm in crawl spaces. I fly my drone over the roof to make like there's nothing that's gonna be missed. So
I saw that recently. What type of drone do you have?
I have a Mavic. What is it? A
Pro?
Mavic Pro Mini,
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
How long have you had that?
I've had it for a little over a year, and the
Okay.
first time I tested it, of course, I crashed it. So I crashed it, and I was like, oh, man. And then I just recently crashed it again. It wasn't my fault. It was the wind. So it went up, and the wind just took it over into the neighbor's backyard. I was like, great.
So it's funny. Last year, we were in the pandemic, and my friend was selling a drone. And my fiance is a pilot in training. So I bought the drone, and we were playing around with it. And, not thinking anything. It was a super windy day.
Yep.
And I almost lost the drone in the bay.
Oh, man.
By the grace of God, I got that drone back. I was losing signal. I
Yep.
was hopping over fences. And I was like, all right, there's no way this drone is fighting the wind in the middle of the
I
ocean.
know.
So what I did is I brought it down to like just hovering over the water.
And you made it back.
And I made it back. The
lucked
minute it
out.
touched land, I landed it, and then I just went through people's properties and got it. It's no joke.
Yeah, that happened, and something similar happened. There was one day during the summertime, I went back to my hometown, Long Beach, just to watch the sunrise. I'm sorry, in the morning because I'm an early bird. I brought my drone with me, and I was just going out in the water with the drone, and just my paranoia was like, if this thing drops or like if a seagull comes by and knocks it, I'm screwed right now.
Yeah.
So.
I don't touch the drone. All my drone jobs, I give to my fiance. I'm like, here, meet me this
Yeah.
time. Bring the drone.
But it works wonders, though.
It does.
Inspecting the roof wise. I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely. For the record, I still go on roofs. It's just some roofs they're either too steep or they're just too high, and I physically can't. I don't have access. So
Right.
otherwise, I'm walking on the roof.
That's good. So, in terms of like someone who may want to, follow a similar clear path, like what advice would you give them?
My advice would be to add value. I made the mistake when I first started getting into entrepreneurship to just how do I get business? How do I get? And I felt like when you have that mentality, it's going to reflect because people are going to think of you as just, oh, he just wants business. And then once he gets it, he's
That's
gone until he needs it again.
It's true.
Which I recommend, how are you going to be able to add value to have an impact on people? And I've been following Handsome Homebuyer's blueprint. That's what he's been doing, and I've been taking a page out of his book. And I tell him that all the time, but it's been working. So if I could take a page from his book, hopefully someone can take a page from my book,
Definitely.
and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But you definitely want to leave an impact, and that goes back to my workshops and things like that. I don't ask anything in return of my workshops. It's free.
Yeah.
I
I want to go.
This month.
Let me know.
I'm going to post it this month. So
Cool. And it will be this month or next month?
this month.
What are we, March?
March. The
Okay.
end of March.
End of March?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. It's true because when you just start a business and you're desperate, people sense that, and it's like
you're in survival mode. How
You
am I
are.
gonna pay my bills, my
Yeah.
insurance, overhead for marketing, advertising. I get it. I was there. Trust me. And I want to make it clear too. I've gotten messages like I see that you're at the top of your game, you're killing it right now, and I instead of saying like, oh, thanks, and I don't. People need to realize like this is a process. Like I failed 100+ plus times to get here and,
Right.
and grinded it out. So
And you're still not done. You
I'm,
still have
I'm just
so
getting started.
Just getting
I'm
started.
just getting started, but
I love
it's
that.
definitely a process, and you have to value. You might not value it at the time, but value the setbacks, the failures, and the deals that might have died, and it's all part of the process. Like, you can't get around that.
No,
You have to go through it.
You have
Every
to.
entrepreneur goes through that phase, you know?
it's true. Have you always been an early bird?
Yes, because of the Carpenters Union.
Oh, okay.
I was on the 5:20 train,
wow.
the Long Island Railroad, so I had to be up at 4 regardless. And I just don't believe in being late and things like that. So, yeah, since 4 a.m. has been a part of my life since.
So it's like no big deal.
Yeah, so that's like if I don't start my day at 4 a.m., I feel like my day's off right now, and like, I don't know.
Even the weekends, you're up at 4 a.m.
I'm up at 5:30 because
Okay.
the gym opens later on the weekends. It's like it drives me nuts actually, but I have like an extra hour of downtime. I'm like,
Right.
what am I gonna do right now?
Yeah.
But
So if someone is struggling with getting up early, like myself, like on days that I'm up super early,
what's
like
super early to you?
like I would say 6 is super
That's
early.
insane.
I know. And that's crazy because I was on that show. And like that's something that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Like to the core, I want to be
How
that
are you
4
working on
a.m.
it? How? What are you actually doing to work on it? Let's
just like beating myself up about it and just like trying to get to bed early. The hard thing for me is I'm out all day, I'm photographing, and then I come home, I have to edit. It takes a while to edit. Sometimes I'm at the computer 12, 1 a.m.
yeah.
And it's like I'm shot. So when that alarm goes off, I'm like,
So why don't you cut editing off at, let's say, 10 o'clock so you could wake up at, or you just
I can't.
because you're in it now.
No, not even. So I work for a company called Jump Visual,
Okay.
right? And we have a 24-hour turnaround. So you're an agent, you hire me as your photographer, you know you're getting the photos that next morning. So if and in the summer and the spring right now that we have like daylight,
Yeah.
my days are so much longer because I'm
Right.
taking those appointments at 4 or 5.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and then I try to hit the gym, and then I don't get home till 7, 8. Then I have to load my photos,
Yeah.
edit them. So I have no choice but to literally give the photos to Jump that same day. That way the agents get them the next morning.
Yeah,
It's
I
tough.
feel like I can relate in a sense because like I for the past couple months I would do the same thing, stay up and get the reports out, and then I gotta be up at 4 a.m. But I'm trying to create limits for myself, meaning that if it's at the expense of my body being tired or I'm getting stressed, then I feel like I need to set a limit, go to sleep, rest, and
Yeah.
then I could pick up the next day, you know, because I'm just very big on self, you know, health and things like that.
Yeah.
Because if you keep burning yourself out,
I know.
you know, your reputation is not going to be,
It's true.
you know?
Especially because a lot of times I will skip the gym. And like that's not okay.
Yeah.
Because I want to get into that shape where
Right.
I want to know like, hey, this is my time.
Yep.
I'm not taking any appointments after this
That's
because
it.
I need to be in the gym.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's a learning process for me. It's easier said than done.
Your personal life, like gym, things like that, time with your fiance, that has to be in your calendar, just like meeting a client,
Sure.
just like going to take the photos. You know that, you know, when, like, for example, now that it's getting nicer out, I typically go bike riding, and I love being outside and being active. So those two things are very therapeutic for me, and it's also a contribution of my services. You know, if I'm in good spirits, my services are going to obviously reflect
true.
that. So, yeah. So like on a Sunday, if I'm going bike riding in the morning with my friends, I'm not taking home inspections. I'm not telling my friends I can't go with you guys because I got to work. You know, I'm not saying that's every time, obviously, but
Right.
but for the most part, like once a month, I'm riding my bike with my friends on the weekend.
Yeah.
So
Where do you ride your bike?
we've been New York City, Queens. We did Massapequa State Park. We went to Jones Beach.
So like legit riding, like
yeah.
like those bikers like that you
No,
see on the
no. I have a regular hybrid
okay.
bike. Like,
Okay.
I'm not the guys with the helmet on and going 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
No, I'm
those
not.
guys are no joke.
They're very serious.
Yeah.
But no, we just kind of cruise and we just.
To enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Just
like
to
that.
Turn our brains
Brains off.
Yeah.
So is there a certain time, like every night, that you shut your phone off?
No, that's a struggle that I have too.
Okay.
Because I feel like a lot of my business is from my phone.
Right.
And I could get a DM at 9 o'clock at night, like, "Hey, what's your schedule looking like?" But I do need to kind of terminate my phone at a certain time.
It's funny because everybody seems to like always have like people who are like us and we're like the entrepreneurs. Yeah. We all struggle with like the same things,
yes.
or we're all
Balance
learning.
And phone.
We're all learning together, and I
Absolutely.
think there's like beauty in that.
100%.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely need to, as far as like at nighttime goes, to turn off my phone.
Yeah.
Maybe not turn off, but like just get away from my phone.
Right.
But I'm working on it. You know?
It's a learning curve. Yeah. What would you say is like the importance or like the biggest like reward in getting up like every day at 4 a.m.?
Knowing that it's my time. No one else is requesting anything from me, and that's probably the main reason why I'm up at 4 a.m. because there has been times, you know, whether it's the weekend or something, and I'm working out, let's say closer to 8 o'clock in the morning, which is not too often, and then my phone goes off, and I'm like working out. I'm all right now. People are requiring things from me when I'm trying to focus, but I feel like at 4 a.m.
no one else is up.
Yeah,
or select few are.
It also eliminates excuses of not having enough time. That's probably the main benefit of being up that early. I don't have enough time to read every day. I don't have enough time to exercise. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have enough. Wake up at 4 a.m.
Right.
You have plenty of time.
Right.
You'll have more than enough.
I love that.
You'll have enough time to get a second workout in at nighttime.
I love that. It's true.
And for people who message me that say, you know, they're starting to get up earlier, I inspire them, or, you know, whatever the case is, I always say, if I can do it, you can do it. There's no excuses.
Yeah, it's true. When I was on that show with Brian, the real estate protege, we had to be there at 4 a.m. every single day. Wow. And, like, I was so, like, nervous about that. Like, am I going to be able to function at 4 a.m.? Yeah. But, honestly, I was in bed the night before, 7 p.m. I had everything packed, ready to go, 7:30. I was out cold. I was up at 2 because I had to get ready. I wanted to eat before I got there. Right. And I felt so good. Yep. And it's like, why can't I just keep doing that? Like, I mean, that's extreme. 2 a.m. is like, but I do want to, like, make my schedule. Like, that is my goal. To just be up 4 a.m., just getting, you know, stuff done. There's
a book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And
I read that.
He's insane.
He's amazing.
The guy's nuts, Now, he's an extremist when it comes to, like, running 100-mile marathons and
he is.
Things like that. But there was one part of his book that really stood out. He mentioned something about, like, every morning at 5 a.m., he goes running, let's say. And he's like, if there's a day where he has to be somewhere else at 5 a.m., that doesn't mean he's not running now. That means he has to start running at 3 a.m. now. And I'm like, wow. So he basically put it into perspective. Like, no matter what your goals are, those times have to be flexible around other things. You know? Right. You don't not do something because something else. Now you just do it at another time.
That's like the definition of discipline.
Yeah. Goggins is a whole nother level, though.
He is. I mean, it's another story.
Yeah, he's crazy.
So do you, like, typically read books like that?
Books, YouTube videos. I actually just mentioned this on another podcast episode I was on, but there's been 2 videos for me that's completely changed my outlook on everything. One, it's called Mike Tyson Training at 4 a.m. Now, in the video, he's waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and no later than like 4:30, he's in the streets running, and he's doing a commentary of the video saying no one wants to wake up at 4 a.m. and go running when it's pitch dark outside.
Right.
But it has to be done. And that last part, but it has to be done, was like, wow, like, no matter what your goals are, no matter how tired you are, no matter if you don't feel like doing it, studying late and working, it still has to be done. So get out of your feelings and get to work. So that was one video. Another one was Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is like my top go-to guy. He was talking about how he was transitioning into becoming a bodybuilder and becoming the best in the world, things like that. And at the time, he was in the military, didn't have a gym. He literally had nothing to even like work off of. And he was doubting himself. And he told himself, he's like, wait a minute, this is the goal. And whatever it takes to get there, I'm going to do it. And he did it. And I was like, wow, he literally told himself, like, whatever it takes, I'm just going to do it.
That's it.
And he made it happen. So those 2 videos for me was like, there's no excuses. There's no, you have to be disciplined. And I take that with me every day now.
Yeah.
Just off of those videos. So
yeah, it shows.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you used to play sports?
No, I worked after high school.
Okay.
I didn't have time.
In high school?
I
After
worked.
school you worked?
I worked, yeah. In restaurant business.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So back to what we were saying before when we hopped on that call.
Yes.
You had mentioned to me that you have a speech impediment.
I
and
do.
I was shocked because I can't tell. Like, you sound great. And, like, tell me a little bit about that.
I feel like it's a slight stutter. Sometimes it's a lot worse than now. See,
Now you're thinking
now
about
I'm
it.
more mindful of it. But when I was a kid, I had like a slight stutter. And some days I feel like I can't get 2 words out. Other days you can't notice. But sometimes when I watch my own podcast shows, I'm like, it's out there, but I don't let it limit me, obviously, from posting content and things like that. And I shed light to it because if people are nervous about posting and being on camera, picture someone who has a speech impediment doing a podcast show, learning a second language and filming content. So there's no excuse.
No excuse.
If I can do it, anybody can. So
talk about your podcast.
So my podcast ranges from, it's more of an entrepreneurial show. It's kind of like yours. And but my guests are going to range from the people who are at the top of their industry to people just starting out, because I want people to learn from every aspect of my first guest was the #1 fix and flip investor on all of Long Island, Charles. And he gave his whole blueprint on how he started.
Right.
And I'm going to have other guests that just got into real estate or whatever, other industry, and just their mind frame of doing whatever it takes. And we get to see how passionate they are, because I'm going to follow up with these guests, 6 months later, a year later, just to see if what they said on my show is still,
cool.
in the works. Yeah.
I like that. Was starting a podcast something that you always wanted to do, or?
It's so funny because it was in the back of my mind for a while, but then, I felt like I doubted myself, like who's going to want to watch my show? And it's like,
right.
And then I realized that I know so many like-minded people as of recently, including yourself, that you just have to jump and just put it out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So luckily I've had the courage, thanks to my supporting team, to just put it out there.
I love that.
And
you film how often?
The studio that I go to, it's I try to film as much as I can, but now my schedule, springtime is here, real estate is on fire. But the last session I did, in 1 month I filmed 10 episodes.
Wow.
And then I drop it every week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So right now I'm on episode 6 is dropping this week.
Okay.
And then probably in another 2 weeks or so, I'm going to film another 10, post it every week.
And where can people find your podcast?
On YouTube, Instagram,
Spotify,
on Facebook, Spotify, Apple
Podcasts,
a bunch of platforms. Yeah.
So for people like listening who may, experience like, something similar, like a speech impediment where, it could take over and make them doubt themselves, what would you say to them?
Embrace it and go towards it. I mean, there's no, whatever it is too, it may not just be a speech impediment. Maybe it's how they look on camera, or how any physical features. But I feel like if you embrace it and you kind of showcase it as a strength than a weakness, and that's what it will be perceived as.
Yeah.
It's all about how you portray these things. If you believe that it's the worst thing that you have, and that's the reason to not post content, then that's exactly what
it's gonna be.
It's gonna be. Yeah.
So you're learning a second language. You have your own podcast. Like, you are the definition of resilience in my eyes, because you've been through things or you've experienced things and you just don't let them bring you down.
That's a great point, because I have probably at the end of this month, I have the podcast episode with my mother that we go through everything. So that's a whole nother conversation. Like, that episode summarizes why I am the way that I am right now.
I love that. I can't wait to watch that.
Which is a very personal one, but
Yeah.
I feel like, part of starting a podcast show is to add value, whether it's personal life,
Right.
whether it's my experiences, my guest experiences. So I think that episode hopefully would add value to some way, somehow.
Definitely.
I
love it. I'm excited to learn more about, like,
Yeah.
in a deeper level.
Yeah.
It's funny, everyone's been through things, right, that they're not always comfortable talking about, but it makes you who you are.
Of course.
And when people start to, like, learn that, they realize, like, hey, like, that's like celebrities. Like, people think they're perfect, but
Right.
they're people just like us.
Of course.
Like, we all go through life. We all see different things.
Of course.
And it's like, once we know that and we're comfortable, like, speaking about it, I think it's going to change the world. Like,
Of course.
because it just brings light to different issues.
And it makes people feel like they can connect with you too.
Right.
And that's another reason why I want to utilize the social media platform, because, I'm more than just a home inspector. Like, if my page was just about, hey, this is how a boiler operates, and this is how an outlet works, it'd be boring.
Yeah, it gets old.
And I could say that, like, that's boring stuff. But
Right.
if I feel like I'm more personal with my page and people can connect with me, then I feel like leaving an impact is more important than just generating business. So
It's true. So what's next for you and your business?
that's a good question. I'm definitely going to start hiring.
Okay.
I want to focus more on the business than in the business. But starting out, you have to know your own business inside and out. So these last 2 years have been just a complete learning curve. But
Right.
I'm also taking training with Carl Chavon. I don't know if you know him or not.
I don't.
So Carl is Charles's mentor.
Ah.
So he's a legit real estate coach. And
Okay.
he actually teaches investing, flipping, holding, wholesale, like every aspect of real estate, he teaches it. So my partner and I have been taking his courses. So I'm learning to invest in real estate. I'm going to start hiring. I'm going to start scaling my business and just
Good
a
for
bunch
you.
of other stuff. Yeah. So like I said, I'm just getting started. So
Yeah. Do you want to, like, invest more? Like, is that, like, an ultimate goal?
yes.
To, like, buy and, like,
Yes.
have rental portfolio, things like
Yes.
that?
Yeah, that's my ultimate goal, because as much as I love the work, my work ethic, eventually there's going to be a time
It's
where
true.
I might want to slow down, and the last thing I want to do is be 50 years old and the only thing I have is money
Right.
and not experiences in life, and not I don't want to be that person. So
It's true.
I feel like having an actual life is just as important as building a brand and business and things like that. So,
I agree.
which once again, that's still a battle that I'm I'm trying to balance. But
Right. We'll get there.
one day,
Definitely.
one day.
I love it. So I want to end with something fun. If you could choose one superpower, what would it be and why?
Wow, that's a good one. Good superpower. I have one. Oh, okay. You ever heard the question, like, would you rather take like $1 million or go back to being 9 years old but knowing everything you know now? That's a superpower. I don't know if that's a superpower or not, but
Okay.
if I had a chance to like go back to being like 10 years old
Uh-huh.
and just having all the wisdom and knowledge that I have now and then live life, forget
I like
about
that.
it.
Forget about it.
Yeah, that's one power that I wish that I had. Mm-hmm. So
What is your background? Do you have Italian in you?
no, I'm
No.
100% Puerto Rican,
Are you?
100%. Which I should know Spanish already because my mother is completely bilingual, but
Oh,
just
it just didn't happen.
never learned it.
Yeah. Is she, like, happy that you're learning?
Yeah.
Does she help you?
I can't say she does. I have to do it on my own, but
Okay. But, like, can you, like, have a conversation with her in Spanish now?
I understand a lot more than I
Okay.
could speak, but
Okay.
when I was on vacation, I had to speak. Like, there's
Right.
no way around it. So But I feel like in situations where you're forced to figure things out, that's where you shine.
do it. Yeah, it's
absolutely.
true. So is it easier, like when you're learning a language, to like understand it rather than speak it first, right?
For me, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have to focus more on speaking it more, because then the speaking will become more fluently,
right?
You know, and easier.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
awesome.
Day by day, you know.
Yeah. So your superpower would be to go back in time and
go back in time, yeah,
and know like what you know now.
Yeah, unless.
What would you do different though?
Oh,
a lot of things. Is that another hour conversation?
Yeah, definitely. I'd avoid at least one ex-girlfriend. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah, but you have to go through those relationships to like.
Yeah.
To know.
And I would probably live like in my 20s. I worked a lot because, like I said, that's all I know. Just the grind, work ethic. But long story short, what ended up happening when I was 21 years old, I got into a car accident, and it was because I fell asleep at the wheel because I was overworked. Like, it was a Friday. I worked that day, went out that night, and then I was driving home late. And I was driving on Sunrise Highway. I'll never forget. I was driving down Sunrise Highway, and I was tired, exhausted. I was up for probably 24 hours.
Wow.
Rolled all my windows down, blasted music, trying to stay awake. And before I knew it, I just nodded off and just totaled my car.
Oh my God.
And that experience taught me, like, I could have died that day, been crippled, so on and so forth.
Right.
That's when I started traveling. After that experience, I was just like, I need to live life now.
Yeah.
So I say all that if anything negative ever happens in life, which it does obviously, there's always something to take from it. There's always a lesson in every setback and failure in life. Whether it's a car accident or a breakup, whatever the case is.
It's true. Do you, like, want to have a family? Like, are you... that part of your life is...
That part of my life is not on my mind right now because of just where I'm at.
Career-wise.
I say that because, like I said, the last 2 years, things have been really taking off.
Right.
And I feel like the momentum is really starting to build traction right now.
Right.
So I'm taking advantage of that right now.
Day by day.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay, that's okay. That could change tomorrow. You can meet someone tomorrow. You can walk out of here and meet somebody. You don't know. That's life.
Know. Yeah.
It's funny. When you're not looking, usually things start to happen.
It's funny too, but I also feel like in my case that if you're building a brand or whatever the case is, obviously everyone's different, but sometimes being single gives you the full amount of time to really dedicate towards what you're trying to build. You know? Because relationships take time.
Absolutely.
And sometimes people are willing to dedicate that time, and sometimes they just want to focus on getting to this level, and then they'll start dating. So
yeah, I respect that.
I think that's what I'm like. I'm gonna get to this level, then I'll start dating.
All right. Know? Interesting. I respect that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I feel like we could talk forever.
We definitely can.
I love that. But thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you, connect to you, hire you, call you?
My Instagram handle is safety first HI _.
Okay.
My YouTube, the same thing, safety first home inspections. On Facebook, it's Michael Totino. And if you need to contact me directly on my cell, it's 516-303-5425.
Cool. Thanks, Mike.
Anytime. Thank you.